This is For Maine with Love, an Allagash Brewing podcast where we talk about beer, our community here in Maine, and things that generally make us happy. I'm joined by Liz.
Hello, good morning.
Marketing manager. And this is Brett Willis, senior communication specialist here at Allagash. And this is a little wrap-up episode.
Yeah.
Wrapping up the year.
We did it.
You know,
we made a podcast.
We did make a podcast for an entire year, and we're going to continue to make a podcast next year.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
That is the even better news.
So there you go. That's the podcast. Podcast over. No, we actually have some really fun. We have some fun numbers that we pulled that kind of encapsulate the year. We also just thought we'd recap. Just go back through a couple of our favorite sort of moments. In case you're just joining us, you can look back at those as a little sampling.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, it always ends up at food was the common theme.
Yes.
So
it's a food podcast at this point with a little bit of beer sprinkled in there. What do you think, Liz? Oh, well, you know where we have to start. We have to start with the secret questions. All right, who goes first? Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Oh, all right. This is a good one. And if you don't want to answer it, then I don't have another question.
I'll give you one of my backup questions. I was really on a roll this morning.
Awesome. All right. I like that. All right. My question for you is, Liz, you have a dog named Taco.
Yep.
What is the naughtiest thing that Taco has ever done?
He's not a very naughty dog, but I think I was just visiting some friends last weekend, and we don't have any kids in our house, so every toy is his. And so it's very confusing to go into a home with children and children's toys because he thinks they're all his. And all weekend he needed a lot of supervision so that people's loveys and stuffies did not get absolutely demolished by my dog. And that was a little bit stressful because I don't want to be responsible for that. Yeah. So, he is a big destroyer of toys.
Oh, that's good. Is he like a ripper out of the stuffing?
Oh, immediately. Like if there's a squeaker, it is even the toughest of toughy toys. It's out in 3 minutes or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
That is Chip. That is my dog as well.
Yeah. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Good. I like that.
Sound asleep next to me here. So
very nice.
All right, Brett.
Oh.
I got a handful here, but okay.
We can rapid fire them if I can answer them really quickly.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
We're in advertising.
Yes.
On the marketing team.
Yes.
What is your favorite holiday advertisement? Because I have one that's been stuck in my head for a solid week now.
Whoa, that's a really good one. The first, I'm gonna have to say the first one that popped to mind, and I think it's probably because it's the longest running one, and it's the M&Ms with Santa.
Yeah,
because it's just like, they do exist. He does exist. Like that one is just like it's been running for like 27 years or something.
Yeah,
and the CG kind of holds up. It's like the Jurassic Park of commercials. It's like they look pretty good.
That and because the Hershey Kisses one with the little bells, like that's a really old one too.
Yeah, it's like stop motion too, so it's never gonna go out of style. Oh,
they were
that's a good one.
Ahead of their time.
Oh, I love it. That's a good question.
The one that's been stuck in my head is Happy Honda Days. And
oh my God.
It's at one point somebody's going to be like, hey, happy holidays, Liz. And I'm going to say, yeah, happy Honda Days. And I'm just waiting for that to happen.
I'm so glad you brought that up because literally I have been contemplating saying happy Honda Days to people for like as my real thing to say. It feels very like Branch. Like that feels like something Branch might do. But I love happy Honda Days. I really do love it.
Like, why does it work so? I don't know. I guess it's just an earworm somehow.
It's like a jump to conclusions, Matt level idea where you're like, that's not a really good idea, but it just sticks around. And you're like, you know what? That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, what, you have another question, Liz? I like these. These are good questions.
They're so unrelated to each other.
I love it.
Okay, this one I just thought, you and I both grew up in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
You know the pizza question's coming. We got New Haven, known for its pizza.
Yep.
Is where I'm assuming you're going to tell me your favorite pizza is from.
Don't assume.
Okay, tell me more.
What my favorite pizza?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm a pizza egalitarian. I think every pizza has its place. I love a good deep dish. I love a good, I love a good New York style pizza. I love a good whatever pizza. I think like pizza is never bad.
Yeah.
So I just can't. It's kind of where I'm feeling.
Okay.
I will say I do not really like the burnt parts of the New Haven style pizza. Yep. And I know that is part of the style to like literally char certain sections. And so I do not particularly enjoy that. But I do like the pizza.
It is good. I know you and I both have had our moments with artichoke pizza in New York.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my favorite pizza.
For anyone else that's also had an artichoke pizza from New York.
And Liz and I have talked about it, but the only way to have the artichoke pizza is way too late at night when it has just come out of the oven and you burn the entire top of your mouth off because you have had a couple drinks before and you cannot wait for it to cool down. Because I think it takes like 4 days for that pizza to cool down too. Like
it's basically like cream of artichoke soup on top of a pizza.
Yeah, and it's magic.
Yeah, it is.
It's magic.
All right, let's talk about beer.
All right, let's talk about beer. Maybe we can ask some more questions. This is fun. So, notable numbers.
Right.
Not all of these are numbers, but most of them are.
Great.
First one is the pounds of Maine grown grain that we brewed with, or that we're going to have brewed with at the end of this year. We can project that stuff out pretty well, knowing our brewing records, and that number is 1.4 million.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Yeah, and the part that blows my mind is we made the pledge 2016. We're going to brew with 1 million pounds of grain by 2021, and we did per year. Sorry, yes, 1 million pounds of grain per year by 2021, and in 2021 we brewed with like 1 million and like 500 grains or something pounds of grain. Now we did 1.4 million. Like it's like almost a 50% increase.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
It's crazy.
And we barely made 1 million pounds of Maine grown grain in 21 because
it was like just over.
It was December when we did our little celebration, I believe.
Yep.
And so to see that we've increased that, it feels great. And do you know if there are certain beers that are taking more of it, or our volume has sort of?
I think there's a lot of white wheat. So I mean, Allagash White uses a lot of Maine grown grains. I think there's oats. There's definitely white wheat. I think there's some specialty malt. I mean, 16 Counties is a big one. That's that's 100% Maine grown grain in that beer. But I think it's just going into a lot of our beers. We've just built it into a lot of different recipes. So yeah.
That's good. We're going to keep it going.
And I mean, we can't say a number because we don't know for sure, but it sounds like 2023, the plans are to up that an even larger amount. So like we're going to continue growing using more Maine grown grains. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, Liz, you want the next one?
I think you understand this one.
It does require a certain way to say it.
Yeah.
So the larger way to think about it is the amount of money that that Allagash has donated to our local community would be over $500,000 this past year.
Wow.
That includes money that comes from our dedication to donate 1% of revenue. It also comes from our tasting room charity program, which is when guests leave any money above and beyond their tab.
Yeah.
We donate that to our charity of, our charitable partner. They used to change monthly. Now they're on somewhat of a different schedule just to make it more equal, the amount of money that we're donating to everyone. But
it's huge.
It's awesome.
And thank you to anyone who's listening who has stopped by our tasting room and has given to our charitable partners. I think Brett and I see a bit of that program, and it is pretty spectacular to watch. So, the team helps to nominate a lot of the nonprofits here that are featured. And so there's a lot of passion that goes into, this program in particular. So thank you for helping to make that such a huge difference.
And it really is a huge difference because a lot of these organizations that we're donating to are not large. They're fairly local organizations, and these donations of thousands of dollars make a big impact for them. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome. Thank you. As Liz said.
That's huge. And then sort of on that giving front, we've started a program here. I feel like it's been in effect, all the years I've worked here, 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
On Giving Tuesday, each employee can use $100 to direct to a nonprofit of their choice. And it can be a local organization, it can be a national organization. And then Allagash, and shout out to Joe on our team who literally processed, what was it, $110 donation amounts on behalf of employees here. And so, we had such a wide variety of organizations that were given to, everything from local animal refuge leagues to Planned Parenthood to, all sorts of nonprofits. So it gives everyone an opportunity to sort of have their voice heard when it comes to our giving on behalf of Allagash.
Yeah, it was awesome. So it totaled $11,000, which is very cool. And that was all, that was under that $500,000 umbrella,
very cool.
Previous stat. We got another one, and this is for volunteer time off. So we have a program at Allagash where if you hit 16 hours, you can actually donate more money through Allagash. Allagash donates money to the organization of your choice. But we had of our staff, 39 people hit their 16 hours of volunteer time off hours. This volunteer time off hours. 39 people hit their 16 hours of volunteer time off, and that totals 624 hours of volunteering. And there's a lot more. There are a lot of people who haven't hit the 16 hours, so we don't have exactly the whole number, but it's which will be in our recap blog, I'm sure. But
yeah, that's such a another program that you always want to do more volunteering work, and I feel like Allagash really encourages, and you can use your work hours to actually go out into your community and support any nonprofit. And it doesn't even have to be a nonprofit. You can coach a little league team, or you can, just hours you spend volunteering on behalf of your community.
Yeah.
So Brett, what did you use some volunteer hours for this year?
What did I use volunteer hours for? Well, we did a cleanup. We did a cleanup a couple times at Cultivating Community. So that's cool. There are community gardens around here in Portland that we've used that for. I'm trying to remember what I did. I have 2 small children, and so I feel like my volunteer time is not terribly robust.
You're doing the best you can.
I am doing. Thank you so much, Liz.
You're welcome.
I'm doing the best I can.
I think a lot of my hours went to the Pink Boots.
Cool.
Volunteering on behalf of the Pink Boots nonprofit, which is a nonprofit. It's a national organization that supports women and non-binary folks in brewing. And we have a main chapter here, and we've got a lot of members at Allagash. So there have been some fun opportunities and volunteering stuff through that. It was great. Awesome. And then with In Her Presence, we did an incredible program.
That's right.
Helping to do some mock interviews for job training. So that was a really, really incredible program to be a part of. So that was fun. All right. The next thing is very exciting. We were awarded the number 3 best places to work in Maine for the size of our business. So, this best places to work survey is broken up into like small, medium, and large businesses. And so I think we fall into the medium-sized business.
Right.
And it's our personal best.
PB.
Yeah. It's the 9th year we've made the list, and the number 3 spot is the highest we've made. So that's super exciting. So that is tallied based on survey data from employees at Allagash who it's pretty robust survey. I don't know, Brett, takes like 15, 20 minutes, lots of questions.
Yeah, it's legit.
And based on those results, compared with other businesses that take the survey, we came in number 3.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I think the thing that is always kind of the most inspiring for me about this is not necessarily that we place highly on the list, but it's how our internal team, and I think particularly our HR team, takes this data and uses it. So a lot of what they'll go through, they go through all these different categories with everyone on all the teams, because each team kind of has their own little like score of how they did, because, certain people are going to have different thoughts about different things because it's such a different function of like marketing versus like production or a brewer or whoever. But basically, they're not necessarily focusing on the good. The good is kind of like, cool, let's keep doing this good stuff. But it's more about, I think, where are we falling behind? And, what are the things that people are less satisfied about or having trouble with? And okay, let us address those things. And so I think, and that's what I think has led to us continuing to be pretty highly rated on this list, because we are addressing the parts of this business that we're not doing as well at. And that's, always inspiring for me.
Yeah.
Oh, the next one isn't a number, but I somehow managed to make it into a number. It's the Cellars. So we just opened up a new space called the Cellars. It's a tasting experience. It's in our in the original brew house where Rob started brewing Allagash White way back in 1995. It has changed a little bit since then, but it's changed in the last, couple months when we renovated the space for this really sort of beautiful Cellars experience where people can taste through some of our rarer beers, barrel-aged beers, sort of mixed fermentation, really good stuff. And so we've released the number here. We've released 3 Cellars-only beers so far that you can only taste in the Cellars. And they are really interesting and really tasty beers.
Yeah, I know. If you follow us on our Cellars Instagram account, Jason just did a tasting video for the Cellars number 1 recently, and it's that's a cool beer.
That one is super tasty because it's aged. It's a golden ale aged with golden raspberries. Right?
Yeah. So it's not red in color as a lot of fruited beers are, but you certainly taste the raspberries. So it's kind of your brain is working hard to figure out what's going on. And that's a fun adventure.
Yeah, it is an adventure. That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the numbers is what we've got in common here. And I just had to re-look at it. So we were humbled to make Fast Company's list of brands that matter for 2022. And it was 144 brands that matter. And that is an honor because there are some titans of business on that list. So to be included among them, along with our other main friends, Atlantic Sea Farm, was very humbling to be included on for our work. And so
I was going to say, I think when we say like bigger businesses, like we're 150 people at this point as a brewery, and we have one brewery here in Portland, and I think that's something that we definitely get because you tend to see it on the East Coast, at least Allagash White is in a lot of places, but it is fun when people come to visit because they're kind of like, oh, this is where you make it all? Like, are you sure there's not some other spot that you're doing? And it's like, no, it's just this brewery. This is where we make it all. So it's fun.
Yeah, there's brands like Lowe's, Salesforce. So it was great to be included there. And totally. I think, we got recognized for our work with a million pounds of grain and being B Corp certified. So those are some of our efforts that we will certainly continue pushing forward. Great. One more, Brett.
Last number, and it's number 1. Allagash White won gold at the GABF. That was, I think, the 5th time it's won gold at the GABF. I'm just going to make up a number. No, we should look it up. I'm going to look it up. Because I don't want to just make that up. But yeah, Allagash White won gold.
That was exciting. We had a good crew of folks that were out there. And so it's always fun to get to hear from people on the ground and the excitement. And so,
yes, 5th time. It was the 5th time. But yeah, it is one of those things where we don't take it for granted. I think we've heard from some people where it's kind of like, it's like a given, Allagash White winning the wit beer. Like I think for people outside of our business, I've heard that it's kind of like, that's not a big deal. But like for us, it's always a big deal. It always means that we are continuing to push the quality of this beer and keep it, relevant and keep it tasting great and within the style and everything else. So I think it's it does not it's not a given for us. We are especially Rob. I think he just gets super excited about it every time. Well, as well he should.
Yeah.
All right, little recapper thinking about favorite moments. We don't have to make this too long, Liz. We can just kind of like rip through them.
I feel like we kicked off the season really strong with Patrick and his obsession. I think, is that the word he used?
Yes.
Yeah, obsession with fermentation. Yes. So I think that set a good tone for us as we embarked on this podcast endeavor. So we just, Patrick has so much enthusiasm for what he does and for the brewery. And so I think, it was great catching up with him about that.
Yeah. That was awesome. So that was episode 2, and Patrick is our R&D brewer. He does a lot of the R&D around here, guides that program. And I think in a similar vein, if we jump up to all the way to episode 12, talking about sensory, our sensory program with Carl. I just love chatting with Carl about that stuff because it's like, you hear, oh, it's tasting beer. And you talk to Carl, and it's like, I did not know you could go so deep down the rabbit hole of how the flavors and aromas and everything about this beer can be dissected, and it's so interesting.
And it's such a personal skill. It's all of that sensory is so deeply personal to each individual person. And so the way that he sort of structures it and makes it into a structured program here at Allagash, so we're all working towards the same quality, but the way that we taste something is connected to memories that are very specific to that person. And so, identifying flavors that are attached to memory, it's just, all of it's so interesting to me. Yeah. So let's see, what else? I mean, we chatted with, Susie and Mike, two of our area sales managers here in the field. And just, we also got some delicious cookies from Susie.
Right.
Thank you again. We enjoyed
Comes back to food
immensely.
Yeah.
But just hearing from them, I think, they're on the road all the time. They are out there selling Allagash White, and you're probably aware that there's a lot of beer options out on the field. So it is, their job is tough. And so, they lead with empathy, and they try and be the best partners that they can be for our wholesalers and our retail, accounts. And it was just great to hear from them, just sort of their experience out on the road.
Yeah. And I think that, like, knowing them both, because we've worked here for a while and I know them pretty well, I was expecting a real, like, raucous, funny episode. These are both really funny people. And then it turned into, like, just this very heartfelt episode. And I was like, oh, that was awesome. It was so unexpected. But that was great. And I think I'll round it out and just say, the last 3-ish episodes that we've done, 13 through 15. Oh, the Susie and Mike episode was episode 11. Yep. But episode 13 through 15, all about Hopreach. I mean, we've been so sort of enmeshed in the process of that beer. Everyone in the company has been for the past year, because it's our first year-round IPA. It's a big category with a lot of very talented brewers brewing that style of beer. So, we wanted to put our best foot forward. And so I think being able to catalog that a little bit and kind of reflect upon it, because we put so much work into that beer, was great.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
And it's coming out soon. I feel, we've been talking about it for a little bit. January 2023.
It's true.
It is making its way on your shelves in all of the places that we distribute Allagash to. Yeah. So it's a culmination of a lot of hard work, and we're really excited to share it with you. So if you give it a try, let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. But yeah, it's getting brewed on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm gonna put in a plug. Literally, if you do have feedback on the beer, go to our contact us page and go to Beer Quality. And if you send us a beer quality comment, literally our brewmaster and head of quality, Zach Boda, who's also been on this podcast, they see every single one of those emails. So it's like it does not go to like a deep dark pit that no one sees. Like, we literally care about these quality emails. And yes, so your voice will be heard very loudly here at the brewery. But yeah, and then food. Talking about food.
We will always talk about food.
It's
so good. I know.
It's a good thing.
Do you have a beer and food pairing planned for the next few days?
You know what? I'm going with the classic. We have a little oyster sort of situation where we made good friends with local oyster folk, and they give us a good deal on a dozen oysters. And so I got 3 dozen oysters because I am a madman, and I have triple.
Yeah,
got some triple. So I got triple. I got 12-ounce triple, and I have some 750 ml bottles of triple because I know that those are Jason, our brewmaster's favorite, one of his favorite beers that we make,
and I believe his wife's favorite.
His wife, yes, exactly. Yep. I think she calls them poppers. I think that's a deep cut reference. Yeah, she calls them poppers because they have a little cork. But
I want to take that. I'm going to call them poppers. That's
have a little popper.
That sounds delicious. Who's shucking all those oysters?
Me. I will. I have a cheese knife that is now my best oyster shucker.
Wow.
I didn't have an oyster knife, and I only had this like little sharp pointy cheese knife, and I was like, maybe this will work. And it is like the best oyster shucker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to be, I don't know, resourceful.
Yankee ingenuity.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was like, wait a second. There's a term here.
There's a term.
Yeah, I guess we have a Christmas Eve party with good family friends, and I feel like Curio makes its way out in that a little bit later in the evening, which is a good memory. So we'll be enjoying some of that.
That's great. And Liz, I feel like you've asked me a bunch of questions, and I have implicitly been interested in your response. I just have not asked them back to you. So thank you for answering. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear.
I could talk to a wall, so it's great. Well, what a year. We're going to be doing this again next year.
Yeah.
Brett, any sneak previews you can provide? Because I think we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to, keep the format, but we might have some more guests on here.
We just might. And we haven't even told the guests yet, but we're going to tell them soon. But yeah, so I think to kind of set it up, we've been sort of working within this idea of we're good together. We as people can do better things when we work together, to make these things happen. When we work with nonprofits, when we work with, just local partners like the farmers that we work with. So as part of that, we want to kind of start building more of our partners into this podcast, because we work with some really interesting people and some really inspiring people, honestly. Like Liz, you mentioned in her presence, Claudette and Mickey, who have founded that. It's just like, I really look forward to being able to tell that story at some point.
Right.
And I think that, that's the thing. We just want to be able to use our platform to kind of give some of these inspiring organizations a bigger voice, so that maybe they can get some more support, or they can just spread their message and things like that. And of course, we'll still be talking about beer. Beer will factor in there, but it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. As you mentioned, there's just so many inspiring people doing great work around Maine and beyond. And so to chat with them and talk about their inspiration and what, motivates them. I mean, nonprofit work is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. No. So hearing sort of what their motivation is going to be great.
Yeah.
So
looking forward to it.
Me too.
Well, congratulations to all of us. We did it. We made a podcast. Yes.
So thank you for all of you who have listened along the way. And we love getting your emails and your things that would be interesting for you to hear. So keep those up. Mm-hmm. Brett, what's that email address that I can never remember?
That's podcast@allagash.com. So you can email it. But
wishing everybody a warm winter wishes from Maine.
Happy Honda Days.
Happy Honda Days.
And a happy new year.
See y'all in 2023.
See you in 2023. I'm waving. I don't know why. See ya. This has been an Allagash Brewing production. If you have something you want us to talk about on the show, shoot us a message at podcast@allagash.com. And as always, thanks for listening.